Hi, everybody. Welcome to Makers and Creators. I am Amanda Phillips, the director of Woodlawn and Pope-Leighey House, where we love to use artists and makers and creatives of all kinds to help us interpret our complex history and our present stories as well. I am delighted today to have Hadiya Williams with us. She is one of the makers that we brought in for our wonderful exhibit in 2018, Makers in the Mansion, which was an installation of 6 different artists who really transformed our historical museum spaces into something quite different, inspired by a time at Woodlawn where the enslaved population became a colony of freed men and women, and the Quakers basically took over the property at that point. So Hadiya is a designer and really a creator and collaborator, I would say, and does a lot of work with event branding and sort of everything from ceramics to wedding stationery, I think, at this point. And she's done a lot of work for nonprofits in the DC area, doing a lot of design work for those organizations, which is wonderful, but has moved also into a true maker with Black Pepper Papery Company, and there she sort of gets to let loose and work on ceramic designs and I think other paper goods, and now I see clothing as well. I'm very excited to see all the things she produces. I have a little baby version right here in my lapel. I like to wear one of the earrings that she made me as a little lapel button. I love that. And I think people will be able to see that I have a piece of your that you did actually for the Woodlawn installation. I managed to grab that piece and purchase that for my personal use, which I'm very excited about. So that's up there. But anyway, welcome. We're excited to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's so good to see your face.
Yeah.
So before we get into the other stuff, let's just find out, what was your path to being a creative person or a maker? How did you begin?
So I didn't really find my way to design until I was in my junior year of college, undergrad at Bowie State University. And I took a class, a computer graphics class, and I loved it, but I was already getting my degree in computer graphics. I mean, not computer graphics, in computer science. And so after I graduated, I ended up going back to school to Columbia College in Chicago to study design. They had a second bachelor's program for people who like me, because design is a field that a lot of people enter in later in life. Yeah, so I got my BFA there, and I've been working as a designer for over 15 years. And the clay piece kind of started around 2017. I took a class at District Clay, actually, like a workshop, just for fun with a friend. I loved it. You know, I've been collecting pottery and just pieces over the years, but I really enjoyed the class. Found out about polymer because I wanted to take what I learned and do it at home, because the class, you know, for me, it was something that was a little more expensive than what I could afford at the time to do on a regular basis. But the polymer was great because I was able to really play around and try things out, you know, quickly, learn, you know, and Instagram was helpful because I shared my work there, and it just kind of grew. It was very organic. Like, I had no plan on this being where my career moved to. I thought I would end up doing letterpress design, doing wedding stationery, as you mentioned earlier, because I've done some over the years. I've done some in recent years, a really big one, which is actually in the archives of the National Museum for African American History and Culture. They have it there for design and culture because it was a very culturally relevant wedding invitation. But here I am, and I'm all in with the with the work that I'm doing now, and I love it, and I see where my design skills, you know, were necessary in what I'm doing. So I'm happy to merge the two. It just feels right. So And Woodlawn was a big, that project was really, really helpful for me. Even that was my first time stretching what I was learning and what I was doing into a space like that, and it being so relevant. Um, Working in honor of the enslaved people that were once on that plantation.
I think because we're all kind of still stuck at home, still primarily. I think, there's been some changes in the last month or so, but many of us are still working at home as much as we can. You've done that, of course, for a lot longer than some of us, but how has what has been a combination of a very scary COVID virus and a time where Black Lives Matter has come completely back to the fore, which is an amazingly positive thing. How have those two things affected you while working from home? Has it changed how you're doing your work to be stuck at home in a way, but thinking about these really, really important things that are affecting us?
Absolutely. So starting with COVID, that affected me in a way where I had projects that I was working on, design projects, things that were cut short. So my ability to make money had been reduced, and then my ability to create. I ended up staying. I didn't quarantine at home with my work, with my stuff. So just trying to figure out how to navigate even creating. So for the first month or so, I didn't do a whole lot of creating, but I ended up joining this online challenge, which is what I did in 2017. That helped me really create my brand. But it was a 100-day challenge, and you can create whatever you want. And so I decided to do soap dishes because soap had been a big part of what we were all thinking about, just cleanliness. And so that kind of got me creating again, which was great, so because I didn't want to just have such a gap in time. And then I had some small creative projects that people kind of reached out for. I think because of COVID, there's this idea that people were actually sitting home. They didn't have all of their distractions to keep them from paying attention to what people were saying. You saw this man get murdered on TV, so that there was all of this that happened. So what's been happening for me, and what I see happening for a lot of people on not just the creative side, but just in general, is this interest in trying to support, trying to give and to do from a lot of white people, a lot of non-Black people. So wanting to show their support, seeing what racism and white supremacy looks like and how it shows up. So that became apparent. So I've received a lot of orders to my shop. That's how it shows up for me. And I wasn't really selling online. Stores that closed that had my work. Shop Made in DC was one where they moved to online a little, but brick and mortar was their business. So they had so there were a few stores like that shut down. So I decided to put my stuff online that I had just kind of in my home. Literally 2 days before June 2nd. I had no idea what was coming. That's the timing just worked out. So when people started amplifying melanated voices, which was the call, my name was on a lot of lists. There was Fast Company did a list, and Architectural Digest, they did a list, and Instagram people were just sharing, and it spread. And so I was just selling out. Luckily I had things for people to buy, because for most part I was just like, I didn't want to sell online. So it's been really busy. June 2nd, that day, I remember it vividly, just like how things kind of happened. And so it shows up for me and for other people, is this push to support, and it comes with its struggles, because there's this newness for folks to understand what that means for us. And everybody's trying to navigate like this space where everyone wants to support and they want to help, but then there's the labor that comes with us trying to then still give the information, provide help, even the labor for us trying to keep up with the influx. Like that's been It's been a struggle. Well, not struggle. It's been a challenge, just trying to keep up. But it's been great. Like it's my store is growing. I see the potential for what I'm doing to really develop. Where before I was, like, oh, I don't know, this is something that I can do full time, but it's kind of giving me the space to see it. So there were pluses and minuses.
You, that room, what was so fascinating about that room, which started as an idea for a table to take Nellie's set, dining set, if you will, and transform what would be, people call now, the table space. It really, you ended up putting in altars and bells and wall hangings and many different kinds of objects. So when you were done, it was called Layers for our viewers, by the way. I think it very much became a layered installation because you started one way and ended up with these enormous sort of just very, very different things all working harmoniously together to get your point across, I think. How did you feel when it was finished and people started to come through on that opening night? And then for months afterwards, how did you feel when it was finished relative to how you might have thought about the project when you started? Did it feel really different when it was completed?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I can't remember. I had just gone to Frederick Douglass' home. I don't know, before we met or after.
Mhm.
I think maybe I went to kind of give me some context
Mhm.
of, and not that his home was a home like it wasn't a plantation, but just even the time period. And so I kept picturing his dining area, but of course this one was much different. The energy was even different in this space. And so I think coming there, seeing it empty, yeah, like the stuff that I created that me and Mr. Cat created, even just in the concept of it, did change like the energy, I think, of the home at that time, along with the other artists. Like being
Mhm.
there during that time, it felt because I came back so many times and it became very familiar. And I felt like our presence there gave that space what it needed to like ground it from what it was, to just bring it back down to earth. And we, even at night, sometimes I've been there and it was pitch black on that space, and feeling the energy of the people that were once enslaved. Because what I did find interesting, and like you were saying, kind of reckoning with the history of it, is that there aren't any there's no record really of the dwellings that the people used to live in, and just wondering what the possibilities are for that to still be kind of figured out. And just kind of feeling that the totality of what that land was. And especially at night, it felt like when there were no lights, it was just, you see the blackness of the sky, and you kind of just know, just there's something in front of me, and I felt the energy of the people there. So yeah.
Thank you. It has been delightful to have you with us today. And for everybody watching, we're going to be posting what will be tomorrow, as a video of a process that you have. So we want you to tune in to see how you do something, not just talking about it as well. And we're looking forward to that. And we're thrilled to have you with us, and we hope that our relationship gets to continue for a long, long time. So thank you for joining us. You made a great impact on us a few years ago, and we know that you're going to keep doing that for the rest of the world, I suspect. So we're looking forward to seeing what comes next.
Thank you for the opportunity to work on that project. It was changing. It changed things for me as well. So
You're
yes,
so welcome. Thank you for today.
right.